What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rusty Nuts Media. Today is camshaft day. We're putting in the stage 3 camshafts. So what I'm going to start by doing is taking all the lines off of the valve cover, take the coil cover off, take the coil packs out, unplug everything. You'll notice the fuel rail is already disconnected and out of the way. I actually sold these injectors the other day. We've got the new ones ready to go in after this is complete. So I'm going to start working on this and I'll get back to you in just a minute. All right, the next thing, I did forget to mention to kill the power to the car, but you're supposed to remove that before you work on anything anyway, so you should know that. So make sure your battery's disconnected. I've got mine off. So the next step you're gonna do after you got the valve cover off, I went ahead and jacked up the car. I removed this wheel over here, and that's so you can get to the crank pulley bolt down here. You wanna rotate everything to top dead center. Make sure your timing marks are aligned. It's gonna be these circles right here. You want to mark the tooth that it's on just to make sure you get it back in the right spot. Your little timing marks down here on the phasers are going to line up right there with that line. You want to make sure everything's marked, everything's good to go. So this is at top dead center. I'm going to get down here and it's going to be a little hard to see. Now looking down here at your crank pulley, there's a small hole right up here. You can see I've got an Allen wrench in it. And I recorded me doing this, so I'm gonna put it in here right now. So as you can see, there's the tensioner right there, the little teeth on top of it. All you're taking is a small Allen wrench. You wanna lift up those teeth and insert the Allen wrench right there, and that's for your tensioner. Now, on top of the engine, you wanna find your cam phasers up here, and you're gonna use part number 9701, which I have here. This is not fabricated. This is the actual tool that you will need. The old ones were made of wood. Just kidding, I made this. Pretty easy to make. If you want one, I can send you one for the low price of $10,000, so put in your order for these today. Then what you're gonna wanna do is take this and you're gonna wanna put it down in here just like that, and where the chain is, you can see the chain right here, you're wanting to push this down, and what this is gonna do is push your guide and your tensioner back. You wanna push it all the way in there, kinda hammer it down in there to where it pushes the tensioner and the chain back. And the teeth down there, the Allen wrench that's holding the teeth back, that's just making sure it's released, and this will let you push it back out of your way. That's gonna give you enough slack on your chain to be able to get these phasers out. And the reason we marked them is so when we put the new cams bolted to the phasers back in, we can line it up properly. So the next thing you want to do after you hammer that in, it's going to give you some slack. You're going to be able to pull this chain up out of the way. But what you want to do is secure this chain to something above it or to the side, wherever. You don't want this to come down off of your crankshaft gear down there, because if it does, then you've got to take all this stuff off. So you want to pull this up as you're taking the cams out and make sure this does not fall down in there. That's just to keep it in time down at the bottom of the engine. Otherwise, you're going to have a bit more trouble working on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take these cams out. We'll do a little time lapse of that, and then I'll go over the new cams with you here in just a minute. All right, guys, lucky for me, Cody came over today. He's going to be helping me change out these camshafts. So as far as the chain, he's going to be kind of holding it up out of the way to make sure no slack gets down there to the crankshaft gear, so the chain doesn't come off of there. And while he's holding tension on that, I'll be removing these camshafts here and taking them over here to swap the phasers onto the new camshafts. And for those that don't know, cam phasers are just this version of cam gears. I'm not entirely sure what goes on inside of them, but they're basically just the cam gears for these type motors. So I'll be swapping those over to the new cams, and then we'll be reinstalling everything, lining everything up on the timing marks that I've put on here, and then hopefully just release this, the tool that we made, and everything just locks itself back down. So, side note, the phaser torque to the camshaft is 44 foot-pounds from here to here. And then you've got M8 bolts and M6 bolts. And I'll have to look it up, but I've got it written down somewhere, but I'll get with you in just a minute and let you know what that is. So here we go. All right, so where we're at now, we've got the chain zip tied with tension, so it's not gonna go anywhere. It's not gonna fall off that bottom crank gear. We've took the buckets off of each one of these valves. We've took those out and set them to the side for now. And those only go in, like this one right here would only go back on here. They're not interchangeable. They're all sized differently. You need to make sure those go back in exactly where they came from. The next thing we're doing is taking some paper towels and we're cleaning up everything in here to get everything as dry as we can get it. The reason being, if you're just doing a normal cam swap, if you're putting in some different style Evo cams that different guys use, or even the Realtune Stage 2 cams, those are just drop in and go. So you're good here. You can go ahead and put in your cams and go about it. The Realtune Stage 3 camshafts. These are the largest camshafts installed in a Caliber right now. So what you have to do when you install these, you'll notice inside the head, there's these little buttons right here, these little circular shapes right here. I think that's from the head casting itself. The cam will actually touch some of these depending on how far they're sticking out. So what we're gonna have to do, the best thing to do is take the head off, take it to a machine shop, and get them to grind it down really smooth and do it like that. We're not about that life. We're gonna leave this head on the car. We're gonna cover up everything with paper towels and tape and try to eliminate any metal shavings at all from getting inside of this head, inside of this motor. So I've got a little die grinder with some burring tools that I'm gonna put on it and slowly shave these buttons down until they do not exist anymore. They will be getting clearanced for the cams. So we're gonna start on that here shortly as soon as we get everything spotless, clean, dry, so the tape will adhere to it, at least a small amount, as much as we can get to it, and try to prevent any shavings at all from going inside this head. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're ready to start grinding the head. We're not worried at all. This is gonna be fine. So what we've done, we've taken some good masking tape. We've gone all the way around the button areas that we're gonna be grinding on. Along with the tape, we've got some napkins over anything else that needs to be covered, any open holes at all. And then after that, we've also taken some really thick grease, like assembly lube grease type deal, and gone over every seam of the tape, around the edges where the tape meets the head. And all that's gonna do is help catch any little shavings at all that falls, and plus it's really easy to clean up afterward. And if we miss any, it's not gonna hurt the engine at all. So this is what it looks like right now. You can see we've got the buttons all kind of outlined so we can start grinding them down. Same thing in the front up here. All the holes are covered. Everything's ready to go. So the next step is to take our little die grinder and go to town on this thing. So here we go. All right, guys, we've officially finished grinding the head, which is scary enough to say, but let's take a look at it. You got a light on you? show them the back here. So that's about where we're at. You can see all the metal getting caught in the grease, which is exactly what it needed to do. The grease held a lot of it from getting anywhere, flying around, anything like that. So how we're gonna clean this up, we're gonna start by putting on some gloves and then dipping our finger in grease and going along and trying to get all of the shavings at least touching grease. That way none of it falls, none of it's sprinkling down in the engine anywhere, and we can try to go ahead and get a lot of that grease and shavings out of there before we remove the tape or anything like that. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll show you the after once all the tape and everything's off. So. The tape actually held up pretty good. All right, so the tape and everything's off. We've got all the grease and everything out of there. We've got the valve buckets back in, and that's what it looks like. So everything has been shaved down, and now we're gonna just gently set the cams in here. We're gonna lubricate it a little bit. We've got a feeler gauge that is .030, and that's what we're checking for the clearance on. That's kind of what we need to shoot for. So give me just a second. All right, so the cams are back in. All the cam caps are on and torqued to spec, which these right here, the larger ones, the M8s, are 22 foot-pounds, I believe. Yeah, so 22 foot-pounds for these four. And then these are all M6 106 inch-pounds. You do not want to over-tighten these. They will either strip out of the head or break the bolt, one of the two. So everything's in here. So what I've went ahead and done, I pulled the tool out that I had fabricated. I pulled the pin out of the side to make sure all the tensioner, everything's still on. I rotated it around 360 degrees. We are dead set on time. Everything's good. It's back dead at top dead center now. So all you would have to do at this point is put the valve cover back on, put the coil cover back on, hook everything back up. So the cam install is complete. I wish I could crank it up right now for you and let you hear how these stage 3s sound, but that'll come later, of course. But overall, that's basically it. If you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, hit the like button, leave us a comment, let us know what you're liking about it. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.